AI's Dirty Secret, or How to Spend $500,000 of Supercomputing. Episode 4. Best Christmas Present Wrapping Ever. When Tom calls to make his donation, office Christmas party season is in full swing. By the time Robert gets his head around the enormity of the donation, most people are, in reality or in their minds, on holiday. For the next fortnight, Robert's only sources will be Tom, online research, and whatever specialist advice and opinion he can glean from friends, acquaintances, and see-through news network volunteers between the parties and the family visits. First, Robert needs to get a handle on what exactly this gift is. He asks Tom if one or two of See-Through News' projects might be able to make use of this supercomputer-level processing. Tom tells him straight away no See-Through News projects are currently anywhere near requiring the kind of processing power on offer. Cloud processing is not like replacing your old laptop with a new one. It's the difference between crawling with your hands and feet tied together and sprinting. So, See-Through News' job is to find projects that serve its 10-word goal that can make use of cloud computing. The first part of its goal is straightforward: speeding up carbon drawdown. Carbon drawdown is shorthand for either removing existing carbon from the atmosphere or reducing the amount currently being transferred there from the ground by burning non-renewable fuels. If Earth is a bath filling with water, carbon drawdown projects help pull out the plug or turn off the tap. In short, Robert and Tom need to find worthy projects that promote sustainability. So far, so clear. The second part of the goal, by helping the inactive become active, was less obvious, and the deeper Robert examined it, the murkier the view became. Usually, helping the inactive become active meant convincing people who accept the science and reality of climate change, but feel powerless to do anything about it, to take a specific action that could measurably reduce carbon. By now, Robert understands how, even with Yellow Dog's mitigations, cloud computing pumps out massive carbon emissions. The challenge, then, is to find one or more sustainability-related projects that have a huge amount of data, need complex processing, would be transformed by the injection of supercomputing, would result in original research, and would measurably reduce way more carbon than that produced by the supercomputing required to generate it. Robert puts these challenges to various AI friends. Some work in academia, others in commerce. They agree on 3 key points, but these in turn imply 3 problems: 1 minor problem, 1 moderate problem, and 1 massive problem. First, the consensus. Consensus 1. $500,000 buys a serious amount of computational horsepower. Consensus 2. Commercial businesses would already have budgeted for supercomputing, which leaves academia. Even for free gifts, advanced research projects require the approval of committees that might only meet a couple of times a year. This means the most likely candidates, who might have the volume of data ready and require the degree of complex processing to make use of this horsepower, are current PhD students. Consensus 3. April the 10th is already a ridiculously tight deadline, and the competition should launch as soon as possible. Realistically, the earliest possible date is January the 1st, 2023. So, a few days bring Robert one kind of clarity. The best way to give away $500,000 of supercomputing by April the 10th is to use the Yellow Dog free license as a prize fund for some kind of competition targeting PhD students working on sustainability projects. So far so good. Now for the 3 problems. The minor problem is what to call it. This was easily resolved. The competition would be called the See-Through Carbon Competition. The principles of the see-through carbon auditing standard immediately helped shape the ideal candidate's qualities. Current carbon auditing standards aren't working because they're expensive, inaccurate, opaque and proprietary. See-through carbon is free, accurate, transparent and open source. The see-through carbon competition would favour projects that reflected those values. The Supercomputing Prize would be offered to projects producing research that could rapidly be deployed to measurably reduce real-world carbon. Minor problem solved, with the added bonus of helping establish the competition's criteria. The medium-sized problem was the April 10th deadline. Everybody working in academia seemed to find it ludicrous. They tell Robert that without any budget, profile, network or track record, see-through carbon won't stand a chance. Even those working in the supercharged .com business world find the deadline daunting to the point of impossible. But none of them has worked in TV news production. Robert spent decades meeting impossible deadlines on negligible resources. He's never organised a zero-budget supercomputing competition before, but he'd been CNN Beijing bureau producer for a US presidential visit to China and survived in the impecunious world of independent documentary production for 2 decades. It wasn't obvious to Robert why organising a competition in a few days during a holiday period with no money and a crazy deadline is much different from previous obstacles he's found a way round, over or under. The third problem, the massive one, however, seems so big as to be intractable. It's not that the competition can't work, but that it would barely be worth all the effort. Finding existing sustainability PhD projects in top universities shouldn't be hard at all. The See-Through News network includes academics in leading AI and computer science departments from Edinburgh to London to California, Canada and Japan. Off the top of their heads, they can name 6 PhD students working on sustainability-related issues with massive data sets perfectly prepared for cloud processing. But this is precisely the problem. Awarding projects like these a share of the Yellow Dog Prize Fund would at best simply advance them by a few weeks or months. They've already budgeted for cloud computing in their proposals. Most are already waiting in line for allocated time slots at their university supercomputers. Winning the see-through carbon competition would merely enable them to queue jump. This barely seems worth all the hassle. The solution seems obvious. Pass on Tom's unexpected Christmas gift to researchers who can never dream of being able to access this kind of technology. Find projects for whom supercomputing would be transformative, making possible things that would otherwise be impossible. This means advertising the competition to the world's poorest countries, or as they prefer to call themselves, the Global South. But with only a few days before the competition has to launch to give itself any chance of meeting its deadline, how on earth can such candidates be found? And even if the competition can somehow access such a massive haystack, will it even contain any needles? In Episode 5, An Unusual Introduction, we'd learn of the critical role played by a Dutch woman bobbing around in the Atlantic Ocean.
AI's Dirty Secret, or How to Spend $500,000 of Supercomputing, was narrated by George Hinchliffe, who also wrote the music. It was written, produced and mixed by Robert Stern. The See-Through News podcast is a See-Through News production. See-Through News is a zero-budget social media network with the goal of speeding up carbon drawdown by helping the inactive become active. For more, visit seethroughnews.org. Thank you for listening.